Yes, yes. Welcome to the ancient world of tabletop games. I am Agamemnon, from the historical documentary, Time Bandits. This is a report from a fugitive. The big problem with filming board games is filming game boards. For static shots that could be adjusted if there's a need for that, I use a specialized camera gadget called a Zen mount. One twist and it comes loose, ready for repositioning. Another twist and it's in place. This rapid adjustment is great for filming bits and pieces. There's so much management and mismanagement to get through on the table that any gadget operated with minimal fuss gets my vote. I may leave the camera movement in or edit the movement out. The Zen mount is handy for filming all sorts of game arrangements. This was a Kickstarter project and it came up with the goods from my viewpoint. The manufacturers couldn't deliver on the promise of a laptop adapter, which I wasn't after, so other purchasers have less favourable things to say about the device, I'm sure. As I construct this video, I don't see the Zen mount commercially available. If you're looking for an alternative, you'll find one at the far end of the digital universe. Always improvise. Another filming option is the table tripod. It will help film every rumble of the dice. A low rail slider on legs serves the same function with a hint of motion thrown in. For filming the board, the whole board, and everything next to the board, I use a rail-mounted system, aluminium rails with camera slider attached. After watching Casey Neistat improvise his way through creating an overhead camera mount, I went to the far end of the digital universe in search of a solution to my very specific problem. How do I film a game board from above? Answer: from above. RatRig is the company that produces a cross-connecting camera slider. Problem almost solved. Filming game boards is about making use of available space. This table is 5 feet long. That's okay for almost all game boards, even with extra player boards and piles of components placed at the sides. I had a space of 8 feet to work in, ignoring the alcove to the right. That allowed for room to move into the alcove and for the placement of the most cumbersome lighting rig in existence. To the left, I lost a foot to shelving and the left-hand backdrop. This left just shy of 2 feet to the right for getting around the corner into the alcove. Lighting switch access is down there along with a few other gadgets. My main camera rail is on 2 tripods, so those eat into available floor space. This is why I opted for a rail 4 feet long to cover a table that runs 5 feet. No space for anything larger. The rail works just fine at that length. I prefer to have a stopping point that doesn't film way off the right end of the table. A rail the same length as the table would chew through the access space to the alcove. And I barely had access to the alcove, given the placement of studio lights. On tripods. Here's the problem. I'm filming a game board with an overhead rig, and for that I need lights from 3 points to eliminate as much shadow play as possible. There's no way to eliminate shadow completely, or the reflection of the camera rig in very shiny game cards. But lighting from left, right, and right high up takes the most severe shadows away, and that's the main thing. Lights, camera, action. Problem solved. Except for the space I must fill. The left light barely fits in place, but it is out of the way and very little falls into conflict with it. It's the other 2 lights and their tripods that gave me the greatest trouble while making videos. At floor level, the tripod takes up a space of 2 feet from leg to leg. I had a tangle of tripods and cables to scuttle around when making adjustments. A moment of forgetfulness and the large overhead light would tip up against the foam tiles on the wall. I learned to be less forgetful. Well, I'm done with the tangle. The camera rail tripods are still there. They consume slightly less floor space than the lighting tripods did. I live with that, as that's how the rail system works. It depends entirely on those tripods. My lighting solution was to detach the lights from their tripods and add the lights to ceiling mounts. I had no intention of messing with anything electrically. With the short length of the lighting cables, the simplest solution was to fix an extension cable to the ceiling. It's easier than having a socket installed high up. The cables up there all have slack to them, accounting for the extendable nature of the ceiling mounts. I don't extend the ceiling mounts. High lighting is better for my prospects of avoiding headaches. End result? The lights are almost in the same positions as before. Over a year of making videos, I noticed that I didn't reposition the lights very much. Taking away the versatility of being able to move the lights I rarely moved, that wasn't a burden. I no longer crawl through narrow spaces like Scotty on a mission in Star Trek. Yes, I have to duck around the right-hand light. It is far easier than scrambling around on the floor. How fares the end result? Let's run the cameras over Pandemic. I prefer to use the advanced playing pieces to represent diseases in the game, but for video purposes we'll stick with the original plastic disease cubes. This is also a test of a grabber for moving playing pieces to and from fiddly board positions. I intend to use the grabber to place player pawns for games like Starfinder, not for disease cubes and Pandemic, but it's the faffing factor that I'm testing. The faffing factor was an early version of Pandemic Rising Tide, which used real water in colour-coded spray bottles, and that is a board gaming fact. Over the course of the year, I reduced the strength of the light bulbs. You want to see what comes up once the dice stop rolling. Coupled with that and the fixed nature of the lighting, I think I'd have to be showing off a deeply shiny game before most of the board's detail is blown out under the lights. I'm voting this an improvement of sorts, provided I remember to duck around the pole stuck to the ceiling. The lights no longer come on from a central location with a double flick of switches nestled under the table. That light off to the left now heads through a bookcase to the electrical sockets on the far side of the moon. Switching lights on is still a damn sight easier than it was before, though. Even after filming dozens of videos and removing cumbersome tripods, I still find time to bump into the main camera rail. I wasn't used to the new setup. With a lot more space to my right, I was less confined, and that freedom of movement soon sent me crashing into places I wasn't meant to be in. So much for progress. No studio is static. I look at the stage on which my videos play out. It all looks roughly the same, but I had to dismantle the whole thing and build it up again for technical reasons, and I have visions of what it was like in the dim and distant. I have this gadget now, or I retired that tripod then. The constant battle with cabling is winding down into a skirmish here and a half-hearted argument there. Is this the end? Nowhere near it. Another gadget is sure to surface, bolted to an idea that it was never meant to encounter. That's the nature of setting up a studio. Improvise. Change what almost works. Make it work a little more easily for you. If I misremember correctly, this is video number 52, and I haven't reached a year of video production. I'm ahead of the game, though not by much. Is it an achievement? With the tripods I had to navigate around? Yes. I achieved the goal of not falling over and impaling myself on a light fixture. Still, early days. Plenty of room for change. I've lost and regained a microphone, thought I'd destroyed a camera, and adjusted enough tripod legs to build a tripod centipede. Filming board games calls for filming from above and the resultant need to eliminate as much shadowy distortion as possible. And that means lights. On tripods, at first, just to see if the system worked. It worked, though only accompanied by an unseen struggle I could well do without. And now, I do without. There are alternatives to tripods in YouTube video studios. Ceiling mounts. Boom mounts on wall brackets were out of the question for reasons of space. I'd use my robot army to hold the lights in place, but the robot army is busy for reasons of intergalactic conquest that I needn't go into here.